This is the Bittersweet and Twisted Records podcast with Vince and Bobbie. I'm Vince.
I'm Bobbie.
And we are back with episode 5.
Back.
And we have another Treasures from the Bargain Bin episode.
Yes.
So this week, our treasure... Well, before I get into that, just a refresher, the bargain bin, cheap bins, dollar bins, beater bins, whatever you want to call them. It's the less than perfect records that are in the bins, usually on the floor.
Yeah, usually we got to go down under.
Go down under, and the ones we usually pick are from the $1 to $3 range.
Yes.
So that's where the ones... Well, both records we're going to be talking about today were dollar records. Mm-hmm. Not in the most pristine of shape. Bobbie's was in better shape than mine. But for this episode, our treasures from the bargain bin are... I'm going to do the Damn's The Black Album from 1980.
And I'm doing the Best of Blondie from 81.
All right. Before we get into the treasures, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, share, all that fun stuff.
Hit that button.
Hit that button, or they say another pancake, smash that button.
Smash!
Do whatever you want to do to the button. Love, caress it, hit it, whatever. Just make sure you do it. On whatever platform you're listening to us on. And as always, we're going to have a corresponding Spotify playlist to go along with the artist we talk about today. And you can find all of our links for the podcast, for the
merch.
and the merch and the playlist and all that fun stuff.
As well as our eBay store.
As our eBay store. You can find all that fun stuff at bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com. And with that, we're going to turn this over to Bobbie to start off this week.
Yes, and we're flipping it up.
Yep, usually my ego makes me start, but...
All right, so I am doing the Best of Blondie album. So I just want to start with a little bit of history to get to where we even get to the Best of band, because I think that's important, because you can't have a Best of album if you don't talk about the previous albums to where the Best of would have came from.
Well, you know what? Some bands just call their first album Best of.
Because that's like going to be their only album. That's like
good. Some bands the first album is the best album.
True. So the band Blondie is made up of founding members Deborah Harry and Chris Stein, and various other bandmates through whom I'll talk about in a bit. But first...
I can't believe you called Clem Burke a various member.
Well, yeah. He was. I'll get to him.
All right. Everyone loves Clem Burke.
Yeah. So, a lot of people think, when they think Blondie, I think over the years it's gotten distorted to where they think Deborah Harry is Blondie, but that's not the case. It's the band is Blondie. But how that started was Chris Stein, who was joined a band called the Stilettos as the guitarist. And that's where he met backup singer and waitress and former Playboy bunny, Deborah Harry. And they left the band to form...
Blondie?
The original name was...
I don't know.
Yeah, Angel and the Snake.
That's terrible.
It's awful. But they only...
That's a terrible name.
Angel and the Snake.
Oh, goodness.
So they actually only played under this name for 2 shows.
Oh, thankfully.
Yeah. But in 1974, they changed the name of the band to Blondie.
Hold on. That might be worse than when Rick Ocasek and Benjamin Orr from the Cars.
Yeah.
Originally, they were in a band called Milkwood.
Milkwood.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a pretty terrible name.
Yeah, that's...
Cars is a much better name.
It's more catchier.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Milkwood.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just thinking about shitty names, and Milkwood popped in my head.
Well, this was a shitty name. It was Angel and the Snake. But yeah, so they...
I'm assuming she was the angel.
I'm guessing, because...
We could be completely wrong.
Could be completely wrong.
Being slightly sexist.
He
could have been the angel.
He could have been the angel, and she could have been the snake.
Could have been.
Mm-hmm. But... So they only played under that name for 2 shows, and then in 1974 they decided to change it to Blondie. So the reason why they did change it to Blondie It was due to Deborah Harry because she kept getting a lot of cat calls from passerbys that would call out like, "Hey, Blondie!" You know, I've gotten that a few times in my day.
I have it.
Yeah, because you're not a blonde. I am a blonde.
I get, "Hey, asshole."
So yeah, I tried to try to get that name going with people when I was younger, like just call me Blondie, but no one took upon it. I was trying, but
It's probably trademarked anyway.
I'm sure it probably was. But I mean,
you get a cease and desist letter
Yeah.
from Debbie Harry going, "No,
no, you can't.
Chris and
call
I own the
yourself."
trademark on that."
So anyway, so that was
Track you down to the farm.
to the farm.
You're like, "What the fuck?"
So the only original band members of the group were Debbie and Chris Stein, as well as Billy O'Connor, and who was on drums, and Fred Smith, who was on bass. But by 1975, they had replaced the drummer with...
Clem Burke!
There you go. The one you were waiting on.
A.K.A. Elvis Ramone.
There you go.
He did 2 shows of the Ramones.
Just 2, and I gave him that name.
Yep, in the 80s. Yeah.
So they replaced him with the drummer Clem and the bassist Gary Lockman. And they added a keyboardist, Jimmy Destry. I'm probably saying that wrong.
I believe it's Jimmy Destry.
Destry?
Yeah.
D-E-S-T-R-I. Destry, okay. They were regular performers. The whole band was, in general. They were regular performers at Max's in Kansas City. And, of course, at the famed CBGB's. God, I would have loved to have been back then to see so many of those bands that hit it in CBGB's, like Blondie, Talking Heads, Ramones. Oh, my Lord, that would have been great.
They should have let you in when you were an infant.
Yeah, when I was an infant. I wasn't even born in 75.
Oh. You would have been
the
They should have
infant.
let me in as an infant then.
So in 1975, they signed with the recording label Private Stock Records, and they released their debut album, Blondie, in 1976. They didn't have much success on this, and they thought that it'd be better to buy back their rights to the album, which I should have looked up the monetary price of this, because I just think as a new band that would be kind of pricey.
Unless it really sold for shit,
Right.
and the label's like, "I'll take anything for it."
Yeah, so they bought back the rights
You said
to
it's
the
on
album.
Private Stock?
Yeah.
I think they put out the David Soul albums.
I don't know.
From Starsky and Hutch fame.
Okay.
His solo hit, "Don't Give Up on Us." I'm
Oh.
just throwing it in there so I can add it to the Spotify playlist.
Gosh, okay. So they bought back the rights, and then they signed with Chrysalis, a British label, and they reissued that first album in 77. So, in that year of 77, besides being the famous Birth of Myself, in 77, that year Blondie also opened for 2 well-known artists of the time. Vince, this is a trivia for you.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Do you know who those 2 artists were?
No.
No,
That's why I said Engelbert
it
Humperdinck.
definitely was not Engelbert Humperdinck.
Jerry Dorsey.
And that's one. That's only one person. David Bowie and
Okay.
Iggy Pop.
David Bowie.
Bowie. So Bowie and Pop both have heard the band's debut album, and they really liked it, and so they invited them on this tour. This was a great opportunity for the band, because that's kind of, they got a little bit of a break in the music industry over in the UK, because they really didn't have much success in the US other than being like kind of staples at Max's in Kansas City. Like they performed there a lot, but they really didn't have mainstream kind of success. So over in the UK, they were able to get a little bit of a musical running streak when they opened for David Bowie and Iggy. So they had another lucky break that same year when the Australian music show, kind of, I'm gathering a lot like MTV, but it was called Countdown.
Okay.
And the show's music interviewer, which is, he's, I guess, a well-known name over there, Molly Meldrum, he accidentally played Blondie's song In the Flesh, which was at the time on the B-side of their single Ex Offender, which was off their first album. So that accident put that single Ex-Offender on the charts in Australia, and it hit number 2. And the full-length album hit the top 20. So that was a huge break for them. They became big in Australia before they were over here still. So in 1978, Gary Valentine, he had left the band at this time. So their second album, Plastic Letters, which was released with just as a 4-piece band at the time. So, yeah, bummer for Gary. But the single from that album, which was Dennis, how do they say it? Dennis in the album.
No, just say Dennis.
But she sounds like, when she's singing it, I think it was supposed to be Dennis because it's Denis. But when she's singing it, it literally does sound like she's saying Denise. Denise. But anyway, that was a cover from the band Randy and the Rainbows.
Oh.
Yeah, which was a 1963 hit, Denise. So I think she was trying to change it so it would be more, I guess, appropriate for her to sing to a gentleman versus her singing to Denise. But it still came out like she was singing to Denise. But I have a cute little funny story about that.
Oh, goodness.
I know. So I always played Blondie when the girls were little.
Yeah.
And just their father's name was Donnie. So they would change the words to that to Dunny. But anyway, I thought it was kind of cute. The girls would sing it. So, yeah, so that was from that album. And then their third album, Parallel Lines, was released that following year in September. They had a lot going on.
Album.
Yeah, that Parallel Lines is a fantastic album. That's the one where I thought I had 2 of the best of Blondies. Well, I have 2 Parallel Lines.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
what condition are they in?
they're both in great condition, and
maybe we should put one in the store.
I'm keeping one for my daughter,
Oh.
who's also a big Blondie fan.
Well, never mind that.
Yes. So the third album, Parallel Lines, was released later the following year in September. For the first time ever, that band was a 6-piece band.
6-piece?
6-piece. They had Frank and Fante. Sorry if I'm slaughtering your names. I'm horrible at names, but Infante. He was finally to replace Gary Valentine, and Gary Valentine played the bass. So he was finally to replace him. But then they went ahead and added Nigel Harrison, who was added as a full-time bassist. So therefore, Frank Infante,
just call him Frank.
Frank switched from bass to guitar full-time. So there was the 6-piece, and it was kind of neat because that's when they started.
Who was playing keyboards?
That was. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Let me look back in my notes. Oh. Now you're going to
Jimmy Destry, wasn't it?
Yes, Jimmy Destry. Yes, thank you. And you're making... Yes, thank you.
So I was trying to think who was in the 6-piece at that point.
So it was Jimmy. So this album became the most successful one in the U.S. up to this point. So that was in 78 when Parallel Lines was released. And then in 1979, the disco remix of Heart of Glass, which is actually a great mix. That one was revamped by good old Clem, and who he said when he was revamping that, he took some influences from the band Kraftwerk and the Bee Gees. Yeah, which I thought that was kind of interesting. He kind of said he kind of used their influences to help him give it the disco feel that he was looking for. Interesting. But I think also at this time, so this is when, we got the disco era coming up in New York.
Yeah.
Everybody's hanging out at, what is it?
Studio 54.
Studio 54. Everyone's hanging out there. And
you also had the burgeoning hip-hop scene, too.
You did, but yeah, we're not on that. We're more on this, talking about the disco scene of this time. But at that time, there was a short little video commercial or production that was to showcase Studio 54.
Yeah.
And I guess to get more people to come. And in that clip, you saw a clip of Deborah Harry there.
Okay.
Being her cute little self. And that's also, I think, at this time, you're going to start seeing a shift. See people starting to focus on her.
Like every band that has a female singer.
Yes, of course. And plus, she was hella cute. She's still cute. I mean, she's old. She's 76, 78. She just had her birthday. I mean, Debbie looking awesome. But she was hot back then. She really was. So they're starting. So you're going to start seeing where she's becomes more of the focus, and she's more of the Blondie of the band. Mm-hmm. And she's also starting to get a little bit more of personal notoriety because of her sexual character, and she kind of plays on that a little bit. So that kind of got her celebrity-like status. But the band kept on going as a team, and in late '79, the fourth album, Eat to the Beat, was released. It did not do as well as Parallel Lines in any way, but it did release the singles Dreaming and Union City Blues, which I do love these songs, but I have to agree that they're probably two of the better off of that album.
Dreaming is a good song.
Dreaming is a great song. Union City Blues, I mean, I could see how wouldn't be a favorite, but I really do like it.
But didn't it do okay overseas?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, it's got Atomic on it, though.
Yeah.
Atomic's a great song.
Atomic is a great song.
All right. And then interrupt.
So, and then...
that's a good song. I think in 96, I think it was Sleeper covered that for the Trainspotting soundtrack.
Oh.
And it sounds pretty much identical to the original.
Funny. So in that following year of 1980, the
anticipation.
I know, the anticipation. Debbie collaborated with a music producer, Giorgio Moroder, who also produced the ever popular disco diva Donna Summers. Mm-hmm. And Moroder was producing a lot of popular dance songs.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of dance. He was considered the father of modern dance music.
Yeah.
Because he figured out the perfect beat to get people out on the floor.
Well, he is right, because it makes me want to dance.
And then after the American Gigolo soundtrack of Call Me, he started doing a shitload of soundtracks. Yeah, so as you just said, so that Call Me became the title track for that movie released in 1980 with Richard Gere, The American Gigolo. You know, you should show off here that you have the Call Me 12-inch promo.
I do. Thanks to a nice, sweet boyfriend of mine.
I know. I think it's got didn't have the extended mix on there, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
that was another treasure from a bargain bin.
That was. I have many of her albums.
Isn't most of your Blondie and Debbie Harry stuff from the bargain bin?
It is all from majority of the bargain bin. Yeah, I think all of it is. And I have even some of her other pop solo albums that are not as popular, but I mean, they're great. It's
like you're gonna turn away a Debbie Harry or
not
Blondie
gonna
record for $1.
No, not at all. I mean, and I have been really lucky and found some 7-inches that have the picture sleeves, which is really cool. That I like to.
I found you. Well. I was gonna get you one. I was out one day doing a solo hunt because you had to work, and I forget which Blondie 7-inch it was. Had the picture sleeve, and I was like all screaming inside, like, and then I pulled out and the record was cracked.
Oh, yeah.
It was only $2. I was like, well, this is garbage.
Yeah, it would have been $2.
But I did get you a Debbie Harry one. I think I got you, I forget which one it was.
I don't know, but like I said, out of all of them, I thought I really owned the best of, and when I went to go look for it for this episode, I was like, what?
Well, luckily I had one.
I know. I am very lucky. So now I'm going to be back on the hunt, because that one was already sold, so we have to send it. But anyway. So this...
Yeah, because I had it, because I got it at a record show. I got a whole bunch of records that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got your Best of Blondie. And she was like, I already have it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So I put it up in our eBay store, and then she was like, oh, I don't have it on vinyl. And I was like, well, that's too bad, because it just sold.
Unless it's in my mix of other albums that I have not been able to alphabetize, yes. Because... we have been really busy on the weekends hunting and recording. So
this is the first weekend we haven't hunted for records in I don't know how long. I mean, last weekend we went to one place. You just got that Zymox album, and
I did.
I got a whole bunch of stuff that I can't talk about because I'm going to do it in the future episode.
Well, yeah, and you don't want to name drop too much, and then our
Yeah, we don't want
coordinating
our
playlist.
Our
will be
Spotify playlist.
super
For
long.
episode 4 is like 50 songs.
So Call Me.
Yes.
Finally, it made it onto the American Billboards as the year-end chart review to number 1. So that as it should, absolutely. But that was really the first time it was making headway over here. During that same time in the 80s, which I thought this was really cool, the band was also in a small film called Roadie.
Oh yeah.
Which also starred none other than one of my other favorites,
Art Carney.
Yes, Art Carney. No, Meatloaf.
And
oh god,
Alice Cooper's in it.
Yes, that's right.
Cocaine Alice.
Yes, Cocaine Alice, your favorite.
Yeah.
It was just a short little bit, but when the band was on there, they were performing Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. So I thought that'd be pretty interesting because I've never heard that.
I've seen the movie, but I don't remember.
It's just, I guess, a short clip. And then finally in the later portion of 1980, Blondie released their 5th album, Auto American. The only hit off that album was The Tide is High.
That's another good song.
Yeah, which is actually a cover.
A
cover song, which I didn't know that, from a 67 band. They must have liked that year
60.
and rejoined. Yeah,
whoever was picking their singles was doing an amazing job.
Yeah, so this was a cover from the band The Paragons.
Never heard of them.
This album is a little bit different than the previous other 4. They actually showed, I think, more of their musical style to this because you have Tide is High, which has a very reggae-ish beat to it.
Yeah, it's funny that like in the late 70s, early 80s, almost everyone had to have a reggae song. Even the Scorpions had one.
Yeah. So
and I think Billy Joel's band were going to do one. And oh god, I forgot the name of this drummer. Was it Liberty DeVito?
We'll go with that.
I think so, but he told Billy Joel he was going to quit the band if he did this one song with a reggae beat.
So anyway, that's all right. So the album has, like I said, has a little bit of different feel to it. It does show their diverse range and their musical styles. And then following later in that year, the band went on a break. Debbie Harry and Jimmy Destry, they worked on their solo albums. Burke went on to play drums on a debut album of the band The Eurythmics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Harry, Stein, and Destry, they all worked on a movie score by the very own, Baltimore's own famous
Don Dohler.
Movie producer, John Waters.
Okay.
Which was Polyester.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So those 3 worked on Polyester, which is kind of interesting. That was very kind of a cult classic-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of underground movie. If you don't know it, check it out. It's definitely it's a great introductory piece to John Waters. If you don't know John Waters, it's kind of fun. Anyway, very artsy, kind of that art style. Last but not least, Frank, because I don't want to slaughter his last name again. He went on to actually sue the band Blondie for his lack of involvement in Auto American. He thought he should have had more involvement in it. He said that he really wasn't involved, but yet on the cover of the album, he's on there. So the band's kind of like, no, you were involved. So you can really kind of start to see, I think, like the popularity and like how things are starting to untangle a little bit within the band. But that definitely didn't stop them from going on and, releasing other albums. But at this time, because they were on a little break, I guess Chrysalis kind of didn't want to let go because they probably saw how, successful they could be and successful they were in other countries. So they went ahead and released the Best of Blondie. And it was Best of Blondie in the US, but it was released in the Netherlands and Germany as Blondie's Hits. It reached 4 in the UK, 30 in the US and number 1 spot in Australia.
There you go.
Yeah, and it was their greatest hits compilation. The cover of the album shows the band members on a rooftop in Manhattan, and that was taken the picture was taken in 79. The side 1 of the album has Heart of Glass, and has Dreamy, The Tide is High, In the Flesh, Sunday Girl, Hanging on the Telephone, and then on side 2 was Rapture, One Way or Another, I'm Always Touched, By Your Presence Dear, which was Gary Valentine wrote that one, and then Call Me and Atomic was on that one. Thank you. So now I can see.
No, people have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I just put my glasses on because he stole them from me. So another thing I thought was interesting that there was a video version of the album that was released.
Really? On Betamax?
It was on VHS.
Oh, okay. You know, since this was like at the rise of MTV this period, how happy do you think that record label was that Debbie Harry looked like she did?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
they're like, oh my God. Yeah. They're like, yeah, just put the camera on her.
They didn't have to do a Milli Vanilli thing. They're like, she looks good already. We're just going to let her stay in the front in her cute little outfits. Yeah, she was great. So this album, of course, the Best of Blondie, it had several versions with different tracks, which some of them slightly varied from the North American and the international releases, depending on the popularity of the songs. The U.S. and the Canadian edition included One Way or Another, which was not issued as a single in Europe.
That's it.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that was kind of good. The international version of the album included 3 songs that were not on the North American release.
Was Ex Offender one of them?
It was Picture This, Union City Blues, and Denise. Yeah.
I thought the Australian one would have had Ex Offender on it, since it was got that airplay back in days.
Right. Well, that one, I think that was a single over there.
Yeah, but you think it would have been on the best?
Yeah, that's true. You thought, yeah.
Lazy.
Rapture was also was in the edited version of the 12-inch disco mix that was released in the UK and in Europe. Yeah. So that's it. So
what happened after Best of Blondie?
Well, after Best of Blondie, that following year, they released their another album. Make me look back in my notes.
Do you want me to help you?
The Hunter.
Yes.
It was The Hunter. Yeah, which actually that wasn't. No, they reconvened in 81 and released Hunter in 82.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Debbie wearing the most ridiculous wig on the album cover.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, it was poorly received. It didn't do.
Yeah, the band was at its it was at its natural end at that point.
The 2 what they call quote unquote hit singles that came off of that album was Island of Lost Souls and War Child.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it also included maybe help jog your memory a little bit, but it included the For Your Eyes Only song, which was actually commissioned and recorded for the 1981 James Bond film of the same name.
But they ended up going with Sheena Easton.
Yes, and they chose another song. That was Sheena E. What song was that from Sheena E? Do you remember? Was it
Sheena Easton did her song's called For Your Eyes Only.
Oh,
because that was the name of the James Bond movie. Oh. Well, it's like in the early 70s, the Alice Cooper band, the original lineup, they're like, man, we really want to do a James Bond movie theme. So they wrote a song, because they knew the next one was called Man with the Golden Gun. Mm-hmm. So they wrote a song for it called Man with the Golden Gun. It sounds like a James Bond theme, and they submitted it, and the studio went, no way.
Who was the James Bond at this time period
in 81?
Yeah.
Roger Moore.
Oh. I was just curious.
Yeah, those Roger Moore ones got really terrible.
Yeah. Well then, yeah.
They should have had the Blondie. Well, I guess Blondie were kind of starting to be a little bit on the downswing.
They were. And that cover of Hunter, too, just like you said, she has a ridiculous wig. It's not a good cover.
No.
It's really not. I mean, I think it was trying to be like more of the avant-garde, artsy period, but yeah, I don't like it at all. I don't. So that's the end of my set. Look at that. That's not that long.
And no dead people.
Well, I mean, I could go on.
Well, I'm sure you could.
But no.
But, it's funny. Wait, I don't have any dead people on either.
Whoa.
This is like our first episode of no dead musicians, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive.
Mm-hmm. But I got to learn a lot about Blondie. I mean, she's always been one of my favorites. Driving around with my good buddy Eric. He was the one I think really got me into Blondie. I mean, when I was in high school, I remember just jamming away, singing with him in his car and hanging out in his bedroom. But so I'm really thankful for that he got me into Blondie, because she's fantastic.
Well, I'm sure he'll be thrilled when he listens to the episode.
That's right, yeah, because he
was giving us suggestions a couple weeks ago.
He absolutely
He was messaging you saying, you should do this one.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to say who he suggested, because I did get a couple of those artist records out of a bargain bin, so it's a possibility.
And I told him that we would have to give him he could be a call-in guest.
He could talk about it.
He could talk about it. But just as how crazy he was and how much he loved Debbie as well. He found out where she lived down in Manhattan, her Manhattan studio down there.
Yeah.
He found out where she lived, and he went down and stood out on the sidewalk screaming, "Debbie! Deborah!" And of course she did not come out, but I just love the initiative that he went down there to try to get her attention, because he
hilarious.
loves her. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty great.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, that was Bobbie's Treasure from the Bargain Bin. That's the Blondie.
Yes. So check it out. Get it. Listen to it. Yeah. It gives you all the best of all her albums on the one.
Yeah, the best of the first go-around before they reformed in the 90s. Right. And
but
been
even
going
then,
on the last 24 years.
Yeah, but even then, you can definitely, and like they're her hits. They're like the ones you want to go to. Like, I couldn't even tell you some of the main ones from the 90s. I really couldn't, honestly.
I think, I'm not shitting on the bands because there were some good albums, but since they reconvened, I think they only had one hit, Maria.
Yeah, you're right.
And there was a remix of that with Snoop Dogg on it.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's on the single.
That. Yeah, but I think you're right. But, when you listen to Blondie, that's who I think of. I think of the late 70s, early 80s. And that was a really short period of time, from 76 to 81. Yeah. Like, that's a really short period of time to bust out those 5 albums, and then you have a best of. Like, that's just pretty crazy to me. I just feel like now you have bands that go on for a long time before you finally even have a best of. Well, maybe because it takes that long for them to create some really good hits.
Well,
I don't know.
Some people don't want to do best ofs because they want you to keep buying the individual albums.
Yeah.
Coldplay, Metallica.
Oh, wow. That was some name dropping.
Yeah. They're not going to be on the playlist, though. That's why I coughed them out. Because there's no way either of those bands will ever be on one of our playlists.
No.
Not unless I go, it's like 24 bands that Vince and Bobbie do not like.
Yeah. No, and we don't want to promote that.
No.
So check out her stuff. Love her as much as I do. And plus, and if you don't love her music, you can just go and
F yourself.
Well, just love her.
Put your head up your
cute.
butt.
She's so cute.
Well, as Bobbie daydreams about Debbie Harry.
Yeah, I was.
We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with Treasure from the Bargain Bin, The Damned, the Black Album.
Vince style.
Vulgarity laden. No, not
Very
probably.
nice.
Maybe not.
Stick around. Check out our other stuff while you're waiting for us to come back.
Don't. I feel like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet. Don't you look at me! Don't look at me! When he's huffing.
Oh, poor Luke, our cat. I say our because I'm claiming him too. He's so cute.
Okay. So, welcome back to the second part of episode 5.
Yes. Thanks for coming back.
More treasures in the bargain bin. Mm-hmm. Before we get to the damned, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe, like, follow, share the podcast on whichever format or platform you're listening to us on. It means so much to us if you would do that.
Yes, please. And, we're trying to get at least 100 subscribers would be fantastic. And if we could get to 100, I'd like more. But if we can, our first 100, I have some ideas for some prizes to send out to help get us.
We'll do some giveaways.
Yeah. So please share us and like us and subscribe and
love us and adore us and
just like we adore you.
Yeah. And and you can head over to bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com where you find all of our social media links, all the links where you can check out the podcast. A link to our eBay store where you can buy some records and some CDs and
get some
cassettes. Merch. Yeah, go over to TeePublic where we've got some T-shirts.
Yeah,
and we've got
great for the holiday.
What else
for
we got?
Fall and the spooky time.
We've got what? We've got totes and cell phone covers, onesies. I want to see a baby in a Bittersweet and Twisted Records onesie.
I was gonna say I want to see an adult in a onesie.
I don't think it's gonna work out though.
No. I told you I saw
because Vern Troyer's dead, so it's not going to work.
Oh. I saw an adult onesie at that flea market we were at. Yeah, the guy offered to put it on and dance for me.
That's so stupid. So stupid.
But anyway, cute babies. I'll definitely take that in one of our onesies. That'd be perfect. So go on there and just support us, buy some merch, get our name out.
bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com.
Yeah, and our awesome logo has a great crow for be good Halloween time.
For Halloween.
It's just good for all. Every day's Halloween to me. So just go out there and get them.
Do it. I don't know what you're doing.
Do it.
Well, you can listen to this and go over and check it out.
You could do both.
You can multitask.
Yeah, you could listen to us and go on over and
give
check
us money.
This out. Please.
I'm a little more forward about it. That things aren't free, so if you love us, help us. No, that sounds desperate.
No, we are. We love you though, and we want you to love
us.
We might.
I don't know. We're like a couple of you.
Yeah.
Some of you, I don't know. You might be a little iffy.
We don't know.
You might be a little suspect.
I don't know what people we attract.
I don't know. Probably a bunch of old people like us.
No, that's okay. As long as you love music as much as we do, that's fine.
That's true. But before we start droning on too much, we should focus on getting back to Treasures from the Bargain Bin.
Okay. Which is? What is
yours? My album is The Damned's 1980 album, The Black Album.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you know who the Damned are. If you don't, then I'm not sure where you've been. But if you're listening to this, I would think that you would know who they are.
I would assume that our
audience might know. Yeah, if you're
they better know.
I would hope so.
The Damned have a very long, storied career. I'm not going to go into it because we'd be here for days on end. But if you are on Amazon, you can check out the "Don't You Wish We Were Dead" documentary. Mm-hmm. It's not on Prime, but I think you rent it for like $3.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, which it's on my list
good.
though to see.
It's good. It gets a lot of fun. It starts to ramble a little bit, and at some point the guys kind of look like dickheads, but they might just be. So
they may be, but I like to think they're not.
I like the band, so they can be dickheads all they want. And also the No Dogs in Space podcast did like a 3-part series on the history of the Damned. Which is good. So, there's no point in me rehashing that when you can just go listen to their podcast, which goes into a lot of detail, especially in the early days.
Yeah, shout out to Marcus and Carolina Hidalgo. I like to think that I know them. So, what's up,
because you've listened to so many episodes.
Yeah, so many episodes. And they're music people like we are. I just feel like they're just a little bit, they're just younger than we are, but they know so much about music, which I love.
So, yeah, go listen to their
check them out.
Damned episodes. All right, let me get into it then.
Get it on.
I've plugged two other people's projects that aren't ours. So
Well, hopefully they will.
no, they won't.
I was going to say plug us, but that doesn't sound really good.
I don't feel like being plugged by Marcus.
Uh,
But yeah, the chances of them ever hearing this is pretty slim. But you never know.
You never know.
Never know. But anywho, Safuge. The Damned formed in London during 1976 with Dave Vanian on vocals,
Woohoo.
Brian James on guitar, Captain Sensible on bass, and Rat Scabies on drums.
Nothing better than that name, though. Seriously.
They were the first UK punk band to release a single, New Rose, an album, Damned, 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 and a tour of the US. And they're also probably the first UK punk band to break up and reform.
Yeah. I have to say, though, you mentioned their first album.
Yeah.
I love that album. I know not a lot of people, either you do or you don't.
Really?
And a lot of people have a little bit,
It's a good album.
it is a good album, but because it really does, when you think of like that generation or that time period of punk rock, that's really, to me, has that nice punk feel to it.
It better.
I know, but it's fantastic. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. I love that album.
But after their next album, Music for Pleasure, in 1977, the band broke up. And towards the end of that tour, Rat had a breakdown and left the band. And he was replaced by Culture Club drummer John Moss. And after that tour, the band was done.
Yeah.
That was it. But 6 months later, they reformed with Vanian, Sensible, and Scabies as The Doomed. And Brian James wasn't part of the reunion.
They just like the D words.
Yeah. And they were able to carry on as The Damned, with Sensible moving over to guitar, and Algie Ward joined on bass. And they released the album Machine Gun Etiquette.
Yeah, that's a great album, too.
Yeah, it's a very good album. I think it's like was that like 42 years ago at this point?
Oh, my gosh.
I think so, because I know
I
know they had like they did like some 40th anniversary shows for it.
I mean, they came out pretty much,
76.
76,
Yeah.
so a year before I was born. So, yeah, that's 45 years ago. Oh, my goodness. We're aging ourselves.
Yeah, and so in 1980, the dawn of a new decade, Ward left and was replaced by former Eddie and the Hot Rods bassist Paul Gray. Mm-hmm. In the same year, the Damned released the Black Album.
Yes, which is...
It's a great album.
It is a great album.
And it was released by Cheswick Records in the UK. And it was produced by the band with Hans Zimmer. And Hans went on to win multiple awards, including an Academy Award for his film scores to such films as Gladiator and The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I was like, I know that name. Like, I couldn't tell you who he did, but I mean,
so many
I just
scores.
feel like
he did some of the Spider-Man movies too.
Ooh.
I don't think it, not the Tom Holland ones. I think it was the previous ones, the ones of Andrew Garfield.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure. I think, and the Johnny Marr worked on those too with him.
Yeah.
And he did the I think he did some of the some Batman scores too. I think. But the Black Album was recorded at Rockfield Studios in Monmouth, Wales.
Ooh.
And this album added more goth and psychedelic overtones to the band's sound. And it was the first one to feature Vanian's growing vocal abilities and more of a crooning style of singing than previously. And all the songs were written by Scabies, Sensible, Gray, and Vanian, with additional help from Billy Karloff, Giovanni the Domo of the Sniveling Shits, and Faye Hart.
That's a great name of a band.
They ended up changing their name to the Hits.
Oh, that was awful. Why didn't they keep it?
But the Domo had previously co-written with the Damned on the song "I Just Can't Be Happy Today," which that's a great song too.
Are you going to get to the point to why it's called the Black Album?
No.
I'm just curious because it's not a black. I mean, the album, I guess the vinyl's black, but the cover and everything. I mean,
well, we'll talk about the cover here in a moment.
Okay.
And the album itself features the tracks Dockle, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Wait for the Blackout, Lively Arts, Silly Kids Games, and History of the World Part 1, which are still part of the band's live set. And those songs, except for Silly Kids Games, are all released as UK singles. Now, since it was a double album,
yes,
the original pressing, side 3 featured one track, One track. It was 17 minutes long. It's called Curtain Call.
Wow.
And then side 4 featured live tracks recorded at Shepperton Studios it was part of a special show they'd done for the band's fan club members.
Oh.
And since you were already jumping to the cover...
Sorry, I was just...
It was designed by Dave Vanian. And this original pressing that I'm holding in my hands right here...
I know.
That I got for $1.
I know. Pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
I just mean that it's impressive that you got it for $1 for one. Though. Like, I
mean,
can't imagine the Damned being
the cover
$1.
is pretty jacked up, though.
Yeah, it is.
Where the gatefold got wet and stuck together. The inside gatefold has all the lyrics and a black and white picture of the band. It's such a shame that this is so messed up, though. But it was $1.
But like I said, Dave's photo in the center is not ruined.
Yeah, Dave's face is fine. It's just Captain and everyone else got stuck together.
When you look at that cover, I look at it and I see like maybe some where Robert Smith might have got some influences from some of his photos. I just feel like
Who knows? It could have happened. But it's a great album. And in 1982, Big Beat Records reissued it as a single album without Curtain Call and the live tracks.
Okay.
And they gave it an all-black cover.
Oh.
With an embossed Damned logo.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Yeah, we saw that up in Massachusetts last year.
Yeah.
And we were like, you showed it to me and I was like, oh, really? I was interested. I think I wanted like $30 for it.
Yeah, well, of course, as much as...
And it was pretty beat up, too.
Anytime you see the Damned things out, it's very rare that you would find it in a... bargain bin. And so the fact that we found it, it was damaged.
And the thing is about when I found this, like I was flipping through and I saw the top of the cover and I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I pulled out and behind it was the 12-inch single for the Damned's Anything.
Yep.
So I got both those.
I like it. I mean, I could see it. It's very gothy because it looks like, cemetery.
I mean, the Captain Sensible has said it's a goth album.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? A cemetery plaque. That's what it looks like. Like on a headstone.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And so when Big Beat reissued it with all black cover, it was seen as a parody of the Beatles' The White Album.
Funny.
And Dave used to try to say, no, it wasn't, but Rat was like, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
That's funny. I mean, well, yeah, because, the Beatles were huge over there, and so I could totally see where they would, not being from that, what's the word I'm looking for, like that genre of music that the Beatles were.
Yeah.
I could see how I'd be like, it's make fun of them.
And in 2005, it was reissued on CD as a 2-CD set, and they included Curtain Call, the live tracks again, plus all the B-sides from the singles and some non-album singles.
Nice.
And I have that version.
Do you?
And it is awesome.
Awesome. Now,
cool.
I don't know the Curtain... Now, I know that there's a song called The Curtain Call, but I don't know the 17-minute version length of... Or listen to the whole thing.
It's awesome.
The whole song is awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't get... I mean, when you think that length for a song, you're starting to think of jam band-ish, but it's not jam band
No, definitely
style,
not. No.
Right? Is he singing the whole time, 17 minutes?
Most of it, yeah.
Wow, I need to go and listen
to it. And this was I think it's around the same time they did the Friday the 13th EP.
Oh.
Which I have.
Ooh.
I didn't pay much for that either. It wasn't a bargain bin price, but...
I feel like I have a great bit of knowledge about the Damned, but I don't think I fully have ever listened to the full length of Curtain Call.
Well, we're going to have to rectify that. Make sure I put it in the playlist.
Yeah.
It'll take up most of the playlist.
Yeah, we'll just make that its own playlist.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I've read somewhere recently, I wish I could find the article again, but it was, I don't know how true this is, but it said that in the 90s when the record label because originally Cheswick put out this album, and then they went out of business and their catalog was bought by Big Beat. And then Big Beat, I think, was bought out by Ace Records. Mm-hmm. And then in this article I was reading that Ace was having financial difficulties, so they put a bunch of their catalog up for auction. Mm-hmm. And I had read that Dave and Rat had bought the Damned albums that that label had controlled.
Oh, okay.
But when I was doing research for this episode, I couldn't find that article again. So it may or may not be true that Rat and Dave owned this album.
All right.
But that'd be awesome if they did.
That would be.
Which would explain all the various reissues recently on different color vinyl.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Yeah, because all these bands, they're all getting up there and they all need retirement funds for their retirement village.
And their next album was 1982's Strawberries.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And after that, Captain and Paul Gray left. Captain went on to his solo career.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Say what?
I couldn't help myself.
And then Paul joined UFO.
Yeah.
And then later had a brief tenure with Fastway. And Rat and Dave continued on with some new members for the rest of the decade before calling it a day.
Yeah.
But then in the 90s, as bands tend to do, especially the Damned, they reunited with various lineups through the 90s.
It's true.
But by 2000, the lineup focused on Vanian and Captain Sensible.
Yeah.
With additional players, including Patricia Morrison from Gun Club and Sisters of Mercy. And she ended up marrying Dave. And they have kids. And she retired from the band.
So I just thought of something.
I met her, too.
Ooh, lucky you.
I met her backstage at a Sex and Children's show.
Well, aren't you lucky?
She was very friendly. And it completely escaped me to get a picture with her.
I would have done that. Because I think, like, I feel, I start to get, like how many times do they have people that come up and harass them? And I'm always like, I don't want to be the one harassing them. What if I'm the one? They're like, no, F you, you're not getting shit from me.
She was just backstage at the show, just hanging out.
But you mentioned the Gun Club, and that brought me back to who I just got done talking about was Deborah Harry. And she
her and
was
Chris
also,
Stein.
were on...
I forget which one.
They were on the first two.
Yeah, they did backing vocals.
For the backing vocals for the Gun Club.
I think Debbie used a fake name for that.
Yes, she did. I don't think I have it right in my head.
I can't remember which one it is, but...
Let me look back, see if I have it written down. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool, though. That kind of ties... We always like trying to find when we can find little things that tie each of our things together, and I just thought that when you said that, it just struck in my head.
Yeah, I completely forgot about her and Chris being on that. And in 2017... Paul Gray rejoined the band for their Evil Spirits album, which gave the band their first UK top 10 album when it went to number 7. And then when they did the Evil Spirits tour, I saw them in Philly in 2018
so
at
jealous.
the TLA. And I was at the front of stage. I was all excited. I was going to see most of the Black Album lineup.
Right.
And they came out, and I looked at the bass player, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Because it was Paul Gray didn't do the U.S. tour.
Damn it!
So I don't know who the guy playing bass was. He was fine, but
he's not what he wasn't Paul Gray, right?
He wasn't Paul Gray.
Oh, that's funny.
But they were really good, and
I know that was a year before I met you.
Yeah.
So that would have been lovely if I would have been able to go.
It was a great show. They even did a Proclaimers cover.
Nice.
Captain did his solo hit.
I can see how they focused on. When they started to focus on more of Dave and Captain, I mean, they are pretty memorable characters of the band just because of their own personal style, and they are pretty. They have good style.
Yeah.
Fashion sense, they're great.
Dave has laid a template for goth, I would say.
I would absolutely say that. I mean, because it's 76. I mean, and that's when you look back and you start to look at. I think there was a good shift. It was an early shift between when you started to have that European, the UK punk scene, where it started to shift. In the beginning, it was considered punk, and then to where they started to shift to more of a goth band.
I think a lot of it's because people learn to play their instruments.
Wow. I feel like that was a personal attack upon me because how much I love British punk.
So do I too. But if you look, there's a lot of people. It started off in punk, and as they went on, became more skilled. Yeah. Some people went goth, and some went metal, because the music tends to be more technical.
Yeah. I mean, I liked.
You can't. I mean, there's.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any such thing as technical punk?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm sure. If
I'm
we
sure
were,
someone. I mean,
I'm sure somebody out there's going to listen to this.
They're
and be
like, oh, but
yes, yes.
they're gonna make technical punk now.
Yes.
Prog punk.
Oh, yes.
Well, you know, Bad
But-
Religion did do that prog album
Oh, yeah,
early on. It was like their second or third record.
I like to think some of the good punk bands that
I'm not saying they're untalented.
stuck
I'm just
around
saying that
learn to really start to
They did.
establish their sound and
just that a lot of people were
in the beginning, right?
were pissed off and angry and just grabbed an instrument, and a lot of it was really basic. And
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on it. It's just
Yeah, I mean, definitely there was a few bands that I can definitely say
it was
like,
more simplistic and
yeah.
innocent. Well, it's like Peter Hook said that when you're younger, when he's in Joy Division, that it was you made more interesting music because you didn't know how things are supposed to be done.
True.
And then the more you do it, you start being corrupted by saying, "Oh, this is the way songs and music are supposed to be created," and you lose a lot of that edge and youthful energy.
Yeah. Or you just get people that don't know how to play instruments at all, like in the Sex Pistols when they hired Sid, who
They turned off his amp.
who didn't know how to play.
They just got him
just
for his
liked him
look.
for his looks.
And he was Johnny's friend.
Right, and he was Johnny's friend. So, you know, I mean, you look at it that way and you're like, oh, okay. But, no.
In Back to the Damned.
Back to the Damned.
In 2020, they released the Rockfield Files EP, which had been recorded in 2019 at the Rockfield Studios in Wales, where they had done the Black Album in 1980.
Oh, that's cool.
So these sessions had Vaney and Sensible and Grey, three of the members from the Black Album playing together.
Yeah.
And in October of 2020, the Damned announced that the original lineup had reformed and were going to play a series of shows, which were promptly postponed because of COVID.
Damn COVID.
Now they're saying that there'll be a one-time only original lineup tour in 2022.
And it'll probably be in England and we'll never see it.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
I have to say that that's a long career. It's for them to all still be living, all still making music from 76 until just recently. That's pretty amazing.
yeah, I just think it's, I don't know about those guys. I see them at the documentary.
Yeah.
They come off as I told you, come off as dicks in the
Yeah,
documentary.
but
They come off pretty money hungry too.
Well, but could you
And bitter.
make all that up to just the British way? Like, I feel like the Brits always can come off as seem like a little snooty, but I don't think that they really are. It's just their demeanor.
Could be.
Could be. I don't know. But, I mean, Dave still looks really good for his age. I mean, his hairline has gone back, but...
Hey.
But he still looks really good, and he still has it.
Yeah, they were.
Still,
I mean, when I saw them a few years ago, they were really, really good.
Yeah, I'm really upset I didn't get to see them on that one.
Yeah, they were so good. But it's cool that they still do like 5 of the songs off the Black Album live.
Yeah. Okay, so out of their albums, I mean, of course, we could go more after this album.
Yeah, because after this they had Phantasmagoria and Anything,
which is a
and,
great album too.
Grave Disorder, and I forget what all of them.
Which one? Which album is probably your favorite?
Oh my gosh, it's. I really like the 80s stuff they did. I mean, Black Album's great. Strawberries.
Yeah,
Phantasmagoria is great. Even Anything has some stuff on it. It's pretty good. I don't know, it's probably a toss-up. I guess it probably is the Black Album.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Strawberries though.
I do too. Strawberries is when I started listening to them.
Yeah, you have that on cassette, don't you?
I do have that on cassette. So I started listening to them. Geez, it was either middle school or right before high school. So that was my introductory to them, and then then I of course started I listened to the Black Album and other things like that. But I love that album. It's a great album.
My introduction to the Damned was Miami Vice.
I can't. I'm not putting the two together, but tell me.
They so when Miami Vice TV series was popular in the 80s, MCA Records put out a couple soundtracks, and at the time the Damned were signed to the MCA.
Okay.
So the Miami Vice Volume 2 soundtrack had a Damned song on it.
Oh, that's funny. Which song was it?
I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation, but in Dulce Decorum or Dulce Decorum.
Dolce Decorum.
It's I could have swore the version though on the Miami Vice 2 soundtrack is instrumental though.
Okay.
I could have sworn, that's my memory. I could be completely wrong, but that was the first time I'd heard the Damned, and I was like, whoa!
That's so cool though.
And so I found the Anything CD.
Well, you know, that might have opened the doorway to fans that were not necessarily some of the older fans or the fans of that music, if they're on a very mainstream television soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, you know, with the Black Album, you know, that was when they became more gothy.
Yeah.
And by the time they got to like 85, with the Miami Vice thing, 85, 86, they were super gothy.
Yeah.
Because Dave's hair had grown long and
yeah,
it's kind of big with the white stripe in it.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he was wearing the frilly shirts and
yes, he was.
They were looking super gothy. And Rat looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked my favorite is when Dave was the younger Dave, and he had like this very slick back hair, and he kind of darkened in to help get that little bit of a widow's peak.
Yeah.
With the nice white powder makeup. Oh my goodness, yeah.
And sometime in the 2000s, he went through a mustache phase.
Ooh.
It's kind of weird.
I don't remember that stage. I would have to go and look, because usually that would kill it for
me.
And
the thing is about this release of the Blackout, it's a really good sounding release. And I mean, I'd love to hear one of the newer reissues to compare it to. Because I know Rough Trade had a exclusive color, but it sold out.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then I think, didn't Second and Charles have an exclusive color, or Books A Million from the same company? I think they had exclusive, but it wasn't like $35 or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a little pricey, because I remember I sent it to you, and you're like, I already have it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's like I got my dollar version. It's okay.
Yeah.
I got my beat up dollar version. It's fine.
That's fine.
But it's a good album. I think if you've never heard The Damned, I think it's a good starting place.
I agree.
Because it's not as commercial and gothy as the mid '80s records, but it's nowhere as punk as the early stuff. It's a really nice place to start, and it's not as artsy or as abstract as Strawberries. It's just a really good album, solid album. The live tracks, they do live versions of Love Song, Second Time Around, which is also known as Machine Gun Etiquette.
Yes.
Smash It Up Parts 1 and 2, New Rose, I Just Can't Be Happy Today, and Plan 9, Channel 7. So the album itself also has Drinking About My Baby, Twisted Nerve, 13th Floor, Vendetta. There's lots of great stuff on here. Sick of This and That. Just a really great album. I just noticed though on the back cover, and it's black and has like the four members, and they have like glowing eyes because they're shining light in their eyes.
Yes.
But one person, I'm pretty sure it's Paul Gray, has his eyes shut, so the lights are on his eyelids, and everyone else is like,
eyes are open.
I don't give a shit. Blind me.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's funny. This kind of reminds me the back cover of Kiss's "Creatures of the Night" album.
Yeah, I was thinking
which came out in '82.
Yep.
So I just wonder if like the art director saw that for the Kiss one and went, you know what? We could do Kiss in the dark with glowing eyes for Creatures of the Night, because they're creatures of the night.
Yeah.
But you never know. You know, so I mentioned Kiss. I'd one time found the 1985 pressing of Creatures of the Night in the $2 bin.
Oh.
And the 85 version, because it was a remix. It was mixed differently and had the non-makeup version of the band on the front.
That's going to have to be a whole other issue.
I wish I hadn't sold it though.
Oh, well then that would be a problem.
I should have kept it. That would have been a good episode of this.
I would.
Because I could eat up a lot of time talking about Kiss.
You could have several episodes just on Kiss if you would like.
Oh yeah, you could. Because if I did a podcast on Kiss, it'd just be the non-makeup.
Right.
Because I don't think it gets enough love. I mean, some of it's kind of shitty, but I think there's some gems in there.
Well, we'll have to add that into our queue of who we can do.
I do have some Kiss records.
Well, there we go.
I found in the bargain bins.
Well, lucky for you listeners, you just got maybe a sneak peek of what one of our episodes might be.
I mean,
about.
most of them were makeup Kiss, but I do have one makeup less Kiss from a bargain bin that I still have.
Oh my!
Oh my goodness! I might do that episode.
Well, as you can see, we're clearly at the end of talking about The Damned and
we
Blondie.
are totally not rambling incoherently at all.
So, listen to this. Check them out. What you don't know about them. I hope you learned something.
Yep. Go over to bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com. Check out the Spotify playlist that goes with episode 5. That way you can hear some of these Damn tracks and some of the Blondie stuff and some assorted things.
And keep coming back. We're going to have a couple episodes, special episodes coming up for the holiday, my favorite holiday season.
Yeah, people are like, Christmas?
Christmas? No. Halloween is the only holiday that there is.
Do have a Halloween episode planned, and we'll probably do a bonus playlist. We'll probably do a bonus playlist of Halloween songs that won't be tied to a podcast episode. So
stay connected with us and up on our Instagram. Follow us. Do all that stuff so you can be in the know.
And then know what crazy, pointless things we're up to.
Absolutely.
And, bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com.
Yeah, and we'll catch you next time. Stay safe.
Or not.
Or not.
You can be reckless. It's fine.
That's true.
Just come back if you survive.
Yep.